What's going on, everyone? Today we have an incredible 4-4-2 tactic here for you that I ended up testing with a mid-table club and a relegation threatened club. Those two clubs were Aston Villa and Burnley. Aston Villa did the unthinkable in this test, and it is absolutely incredible the results that we got. So, if you're interested in downloading today's tactic, I'll be linking my Discord down below in the description. That is where you're going to be able to download the tactic from. But I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So, like I said, tested this with Aston Villa and Burnley. Burnley is that relegation threatened club. Aston Villa kind of expected to finish mid-table, maybe challenge for a European spot. And being that they're both in the Prem, I decided to test them at the exact same time, and the results were incredible. Burnley ended up finishing in 11th, as we can see here, surviving very comfortably, and Aston Villa won the league, which was absolutely amazing. They did it on the last day. But not only did they win the Premier League, they also won the Europa Conference League, and they were runners-up in the Carabao Cup. And thankfully with this tactic, it allows for pretty even contribution from your side. As we can see here with Aston Villa, when it comes to goals, you have Ollie Watkins and Moussa Diaby, who were the strikers in this system, combining for 57 goals. Douglas Luiz had 18, Nicola Zaniolo with 14, even though he didn't play every single game, he still had a very solid season. And then Pau Torres with 11, and Super John McGinn with 11. When it comes to the assists, it is no different. Moussa Diaby with 18, Leon Bailey with 18, Alex Moreno with 17, Nicola Zaniolo with 15. Keep in mind, Zaniolo did not play a boatload of games. Yes, he did play 43 in total, but 14 goals, 15 assists, that is pretty impressive. Luka Digne with 14 and Boubacar Kamara with 12. Now, when it comes to Burnley, the numbers are going to be drastically different due to the level of ability within the sides, but Burnley still got the job done at the end of the day, surviving very comfortably. So their leading goal scorers were, of course, the strikers, Mr. Lyle Foster, he had 12, and Zeki Amdouni had 11. And assist-wise, no one hit double digits, but plenty of the players ended up contributing in the assist column. But with this tactic, how exactly does it work? How does it set up in a 4-4-2? Because it is slightly, ever so slightly, asymmetric. So this is how the 4-4-2 lines up. It's got two advanced forwards up top, two wingers out wide. You have a central midfielder with a segundo volante. That's where it's a little bit asymmetric, a tiny bit. Basically just dropping one of the central midfielders to the defensive midfield area. You got an inverted wingback on the left, an inverted fullback on the right, two ball-playing defenders, and a sweeper keeper back there. Now, the most important area of this tactic is 100% the midfield duo. If you can have a very, very solid midfield duo, you are going to have a boatload of success with this tactic. And if you have two pretty good strikers up top, as we saw with Aston Villa, they kind of swapped between Ollie Watkins, Moussa Diaby, and Nicola Zaniolo. They all contributed in big ways. Now, the main reason why I'm using Segundo Volante, and I've been using it a lot recently within my tactics, is because of how good it is and how it exploits open space. The Segundo Volante is like a late arriving, I like to think of them as box-to-box midfielders, basically. So when in attack, this is how it lines up with the Segundo Volante joining the attack. We have the wingers come up, supplying the width. You have the advanced forwards coming to the box, the central midfielder comes up, as does that Segundo Volante, but they kind of are late arrivers, so they are able to exploit passing lanes that otherwise this central midfielder probably does not have access to. Now, we do have the inverted wingback as well. They're going to come in and slot in right here. The ball-playing defender goes up here, same with here, and that inverted fullback, creating kind of, I like to think of this as kind of like a diamond midfield in a way. It's a very awkward diamond midfield, but it is very, very good in playmaking ability with your side. And actually, it's more so of a pentagon with the inverted wingback sitting in the middle of it. But in attack, this essentially creates a 3-1-2-4, or you could call it a 3-3-4. Which is very, very good. And when they spread out to try and soak up as much space as possible, it becomes very difficult for your opponent to get out of their end, which you will see in the highlights in a moment. They exploit it perfectly in a match against Man United, especially making Onana have a big time mistake. But one thing that you will definitely want to make sure that you have in your side with these wingers on the left and the right side is making sure that they do have some defensive aspect to their game, which is why John McGinn was so darn good as the left winger within this system. And one last thing about this Segundo Volante, if you can have someone that is great defensively and offensively, they are probably going to be the most important person in your team. So if you have a very solid Segundo Volante like Douglas Luiz is within this system, they are going to turn into an absolute world beater for you. So if you're looking for a 4-4-2 that can make you just absolutely ridiculous eventually, this is definitely the system to use. Alright, so now that we've gone over that on tactic board, we're going to go over some highlights kind of overhead in the 2D match engine and then one in the 3D match engine as well really quickly between the two sides. So the first match that I'll be showing you is a 3-1 win by Burnley over West Ham United, which was just a very solid and well played out game by them within the system. You have players like the inverted wingback getting themselves a goal as well, because with how they were sitting there in that pentagon, they have as much space as possible to either create a play or go for goal themselves. So definitely make sure to keep an eye on Vitinho within this game, which in the highlights, Vitinho is number 22. So as we can see there from the highlights, those inverted wingbacks can be very instrumental in how your side produces goal scoring opportunities. Next up is a game by Aston Villa where they once again are beating West Ham in this highlight, except they win 4-1, and it was a big time result in their push for the title, where Douglas Luiz in that Segundo Volante role came alive in a big time way in this game. So make sure to keep an eye on number 6, as that is Douglas Luiz within the highlights. Now, as we can see there, the Segundo Volante, like I was saying, very, very vital in the success of this tactic. So if you have someone that is really good and well suited to playing that role, definitely give this tactic a try. But the final match that we're going to be going over is a 5-1 win by Aston Villa over Manchester United. This will be the 3D match engine portion where they outright dominate them, and Ollie Watkins gets himself a hat trick. So there we have it with the highlights. As you can tell, this tactic is an absolute beast. And if you are an underdog type team, this can definitely help you not only survive within the Premier League, but maybe even push for a European spot. And if you're a mid-table side, like in Aston Villa, you might even be able to win the league just like they did. But now we're going to go ahead and get into the tactic side of things on FM, and let's break down all the player instructions. So the file name you're going to be looking for is Gormy's 442 Ironhide. That is what it will be called in the download section of the Discord. So we've got 2 advanced forwards on attack up top, 2 wingers on attack out wide, a central midfielder on support in the central midfield area, and a segundo volante on support in the defensive midfield area, 1 on the left, 1 on the right. An inverted wingback on support with an inverted fullback on defend, with 2 ball-playing defenders on defend in between them, and a sweeper keeper on defend as well. Both advanced forwards on attack were left as is. Both wingers on attack have crosses aimed at center and tackle harder. The central midfielder on support has crosses aimed at the far post, get further forward, move into channels, and tackle harder. The segundo volante on support has moved into channels and tackle harder. The inverted wingback on support has tackle harder. The inverted fullback on defend was left as is. The ball-playing defenders on defend were left unchanged as well. And the same thing with the sweep keeper on defend, with nothing added to them either. Now, this system is played with a positive mentality. It is the safer version of the attacking mentality, because being that this is meant for mid-tables or kind of relegation threatened sides, you're definitely either want to be positive or balanced. But for those elite sides that definitely want to use a 4-4-2 like this as well, you can definitely get away with using it on positive or attacking. You'll dominate the league. When we're in possession, we have fairly narrow attacking width. We underlap on the left and the right because we're looking for those underlapping runs from the central midfielder, segundo volante, as well as the inverted wingback. We play out from the defense, work the ball into the box. We use low crosses in the final third, slightly shorter passing directness, and slightly higher tempo. When in transition, we counter press, counter, and distribute to the fullbacks and center backs. And once out of possession, we have a high press line of engagement, a higher defensive line, and more often trigger press. Now, this tactic, I believe, can be used with basically any level of side. Whether you are relegation threatened mid-table or an elite level side, this tactic will do well for you, especially if you have the right players for the system. If you have a player like a Douglas Luiz, who is pretty solid defensively, pretty solid attacking wise as well, they're going to be one hell of a segundo volante for you. And if you have 2 pacey forwards like a Ali Watkins and a Moussa Diaby, your opponents are going to be scared and running every time from you, because this tactic will make your side a beast. When it comes to tactical tweaks, there's really only one thing I would change, and that is for these center backs. That change is changing the ball playing defenders on defend to central defenders on defend. It's just a little bit of a safer role, in my opinion, for those newly promoted sides or relegation threatened sides that don't really feel that they have the best ball playing defenders available to them. But there we have it for today's tactic video. I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys wish to download this tactic, once again, I'll be linking my Discord down below in the description. That is where you are going to be able to download the tactic from. And if you have enjoyed today's video, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so when I hit that sub button right now on screen, I'll be popping up my most recent tactic video for you guys. It is probably my favorite and best 4-2-3-1 I've ever made, so definitely feel free to check that out. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.